Freedom, yeah, freedom. I got to know it for myself. I want to be free.
Welcome back to another episode of the Halo Heroes podcast. My name is Jeremy, the VP of Community, and your host for today. We won't have Taylor joining us because he is in Disney World with his family, which is something that, actually LaToya and I, we were just talking, everyone needs to be able to find that time to kind of take a break and give your body that time to re-energize and restore. But like I just mentioned today, we have LaToya Johnson, CEO of AwayZones and the Victor app. And I'm very excited to talk with her. She has an application which is an app for the people, and their mission is to provide opportunities for underrepresented business owners and consumers to interact with each other in order to facilitate the exchange of products, goods, or services in an equitable environmental economic system. So LaToya, thank you so much for hopping on today.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy. I'm glad to be here.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Well, I would love to just kind of turn around and just kind of kick it off for you. What is, you're a seasoned entrepreneur and you have this amazing community and you have these different really cool initiatives that you're working on. But I always like to start with the personal story of, the founder, the personal story of the person who's really kind of pushing the charge and leading the charge. And so what is your story? Have you always been, with the AwayZones? When did you start it? What was that kind of light bulb moment for you that said, this is something that I want to focus on? So, just kind of share with me your story a little bit.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to share. So the AwayZones Incorporated journey started back in 2017. And one particular day I was out and about and I had crossed paths with a comedian who was performing at Crackers Comedy Club. And this gentleman was not from Indiana, he was from New York and had never been to Indiana before. So we were having a conversation and he very jokingly, but also very seriously kind of asked, where are all the Black people in Indianapolis? His travel itinerary was developed using a tool provided by the New York Times called 36 Hours. And 36 hours tells you what you can do with 36 hours in most major or secondary cities.
Huh.
So he used that resource to, build his itinerary of where he was going to stay, where he could go out to eat. Of course, he needed to understand the proximity of social places around the comedy club. But 36 Hour was his point of resource, and it took him to some predominantly white spaces in Indianapolis. So when he saw me, again, jokingly, but also seriously, he asked, where are all the Black people? So we had a joke about it, and, there should be an app for that kind of conversation. And I woke up the next day, and I was like, no, there should really be an app for people of color or, a quote unquote minority community to be able to find other people, places, and experiences that resonate with them on a cultural level. So I started down the journey of establishing AwayZones Incorporated as a company, trying to build a team, trying to fundraise, trying to get my vision of the app executed. And I hit a lot of bumps in the road, lots of valleys, engaging in business. Because for me, I'm the type, if you pay me to do something, I'm going to do it. And so I expect the same. If I pay someone to do something, I expect them to do the work, especially, after you've reviewed resumes and talked to, referrals and other people that have worked with certain individuals. You're just like, okay, let's enter into this business relationship and get things done. And not everyone thinks that way. Some people go to great lengths to be deceptive and really just do as minimal work as they can get away with.
Yeah.
So I had to learn some of those lessons the hard way. But fast forwarding to September of 2021, I had an app that was ready for the market, as you know, the terminology of minimal viable product, MVP. So that was a long, fraught journey. But through that journey, I was able to do a lot of research. I did a lot of customer discovery. I tested out a very rough draft of the app, got feedback from the business owners that participated in that early rough draft, and then tried to incorporate the things they wanted to see on this minimal viable product that's now available in the Google Play and Apple App stores. And throughout the journey, we also went through sort of a rebranding period. The company, again, is AwayZones Incorporated. And at the time, the app was also AwayZones Incorporated. And that was really to highlight how people of, a different cultural background can find their zone away from home. So that's where the name AwayZones came from. But again, going through the journey and just getting data points from here and there and participating in various business programs and accelerators, we learned that we had an opportunity to improve upon the name and the brand of the product itself. And through that process, we came up with the name Victor in honor of Victor Hugo Green, who is the original publisher of the Green Book. And for those who don't know, the Green Book is a travel guide that was put together for African-American motorists who were traveling throughout the height of Jim Crow between North and South. So if you were someone a part of the Great Migration and you were leaving the South and moving to the North, the Green Book gave you locations where you could go to get gas and be free of harassment, to have overnight lodging and be allowed to stay there, etc. And of course, if you're someone, now you're from the North and you want to go back down South to see family, same thing. You know what places you could go to in those deepest, most southern states and be safe.
Wow.
So that's why the app is now called Victor. We're bringing that same concept of culturally specific information into the 21st century, and we're doing it in the form of an app as opposed to an actual book.
Wow. Well, I love that. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story, and I want to jump into the app here in like a minute here. But like your story is very interesting because I think, as startup founders, we all, kind of have the different hangups and the hurdles that goes through creating a startup and creating technology and talking to investors and getting them to understand MVP and going through that kind of feedback process with the market. But I'm sure, as you mentioned, just with, limited resources or just limited access, it was maybe even more challenging just for you, just given the color of your skin. So I think it's very interesting and powerful. I'm a firm believer that all things happen for a reason. I'm sure at the time you're kind of beating your head against the wall sometimes, like, am I supposed to be doing this? Like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? But I think it's kind of beautiful that you went through those hurdles, which is like almost the exact reason why your app needs to exist. And now you can use that story, talk with other entrepreneurs or other people in the marketplace and say like, look, like, obviously I've experienced this in a lot of ways, but I literally experienced this with this application. It's the reason why, we're pushing forward every single day.
Absolutely. I think every entrepreneur and, startup entrepreneur has that moment in each day where they're like, why am I doing this? And for me, what always brought me back to it was the community engagement and support that I experienced throughout the journey. When I was talking to people of these underrepresented communities, these quote unquote minority communities, they were excited about the idea. And yes, this is something that we need right now. And, it was just overwhelmingly supportive. And with that, I took that energy and I kept fighting. These were not the individuals that could cut, a $50,000, $100,000 check, but these are the individuals that can pour into me and keep me and my team motivated and moving forward because we know there is a greater good to come of our effort.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Would you be willing to share, like, some of those people, like almost kind of highlight some of those people who were part of you with that journey, whether it's just purely like team and emotional and like strategy support, or was, some of those people who did like cut a check? Like, who are some of those people that, took faith and believe in who you are and what you're trying to accomplish? You can see, okay, there are legitimate systemic issues and problems in our world and in our society, regardless of what political spectrum, one might be in. That there are legitimate, problems when it comes to access and where people are born and which neighborhoods, that they ended up being raised in. And, like I've always heard the thing, if you have a mom and dad who are still together and they believe in you, like you have, far more access and privilege and all these kind of things than most other people. And like, there really is a lot to be said about that, that lack of access out there. So would you be willing to just kind of share and just kind of highlight some of those people who came alongside your journey?
Yeah. So, starting the journey, I joined some professional organizations. And one of the most impactful was the Startup Ladies. And that's a local not-for-profit here in Indianapolis. Their owner, Kristen Cooper, being a woman, understood what it was like to try to be a female startup entrepreneur, and wanted other female startup entrepreneurs to have, greater access to these investment circles. And this is a multicultural group of women who all have unique ideas, unique businesses, different business strategies, but strong business strategies that need to be funded nonetheless. And so through the Startup Ladies, I met my first significant angel investors. And I don't want to say their name just because I don't have their permission, but those angel investors gave me significant, seed money to work with organizations like Innovate Map, who helped me through my redesign and my rebranding, or helping cover the cost of the technical development. I now have a CTO, and his name is Robert Wheeler, and he helps, he's built the technology stack that we have now, and has some great plans for the future. But we need a few more resources. And another organization that was a part of helping us get access to resources was CICF. Okay. Brian Payne specifically believed greatly in me and my vision and the app. And I also participated with the Pitch Feast organization, who has partnered with CICF to provide either no or low interest funding. Or my particular situation was a little bit of an equity exchange, but that was, again, another opportunity to get some money towards the development of the app itself and, the company overall. And then I would say on a emotional supportive side, it's people like Kelly Jones, who is out here pounding the pavement, trying to make sure that Black and Brown founders in Central Indiana are, again, getting their fair access to investment opportunities. And, with her focus being in tech-related or tech-enabled industries, she's really opened the door for a lot of people to access spaces they wouldn't have had access to before. My dear, dear friend, Nicole Kearney, who is the owner of Sip and Share Wines, has helped me so much with community engagement and helping me get the Victor name out there with the limited resources that I have. And then I have, a board of directors who have been impactful and providing guidance and advice and, trying to help me along with their years of experience navigate through this journey. And, they shared some of the things that they went through and, what to avoid, what to try to do, and what not to try to do, those sorts of things. But it's been definitely a community collaborative support system for me. And that support system allows the Victor app to be a community collaboration tool for our Black and Brown and LGBTQ business owners and consumers. Because as you mentioned, the goal is to make those connections so that they can exchange, right? We need consumers exchanging their money with these business owners and getting their goods and services and experiences so those business owners can get to the resources they need to continue providing goods, services, and experiences. And once they are able to grow and develop and expand on what they're doing, they then can go back to the community and hire the team and, you know, contract with resources to help their businesses grow and help their brands grow. And then it becomes this cycle of support and real, I'll say real support. It's not lip service. That's one of the things we want to try to drive with the Victor brand, is that we are creating an ecosystem of people who walk the walk, talk the talk. So if I'm going to support Black-owned businesses, I know exactly where to go to do that. Or if I'm an ally or an intentional spender and I want to support a different community for mine, I now have a resource to go find that community and provide that support.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I've always been a fan of the quote, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And I appreciate you mentioned, you know, some of those people by name. I know, you know, I've had a pleasure of meeting Kelly. I've had a pleasure meeting Kendra with Pitch Feast. I've seen a lot of, you know, Kristen's work with the startup lady. So that's really powerful. But I have a question for you. So that gentleman who you talked to a couple of years back, have you ever had a chance to like reach back out to him, or maybe you have a, you know, pretty often engage with him to be like, hey, just want to let you know, like, I appreciate, you know, that conversation that we've had, because it's really kind of developed into something, you know, pretty cool.
I've not received a response. I absolutely have tried to reach out and let them know, like, you inspired me that night, and here is the fruits of that conversation, but I just haven't received a response.
That's interesting. Well, again, everything happens for a reason. He was there for
Absolutely.
a lot of purpose, and lots of reasons. So that's really cool. So with the Victor app, and so like, you know, there's a lot of different people who might be listening to this podcast, and they might be really interested, you know, in the Victor app for a lot of different reasons. But so you mentioned it's on Android and iOS, which I've already downloaded it just so I can check it out, and, you know, I want to support the cause. But what would someone might expect if, you know, I know you mentioned they can find different service providers of different, you know, groups and different, you know, kind of missions, I guess, if you will, in different interests. But, you know, what would someone expect, right? Like, a lot of people, they're familiar with like a Facebook marketplace where you can go and search products or whatever. They might be familiar with like an Amazon where you can search up products, or maybe they're familiar with like Indianapolis Chamber of Commerce, where there's this like, you know, this older version of a directory of these different business owners, and you go on this website and you got to like look all these different kind of names. But, you know, what would someone expect when they're, you know, they're downloading the Victor app and they're hopping on, and, you know, like what are some things they can look for?
Well, they can look up creating their own personal Victor profile. And as a consumer, you will be presented with an opportunity to filter your information. So we have a variety of cultures listed on the app, and you can select or deselect up to 4, as many, you know, up to 4 cultures, or just one if that's what you're searching for. And that information is filtered. And then the next step is to filter by your industry type. So we have arts and entertainment, we have beauty, we also have fashion and retail, there's a health and wellness, there's food and drink. And so you can go through the industries we have listed, select or deselect up to 4 of those. And then at the end, you will get a filtered list of culturally specific and industry, you know, important businesses for what you're looking for in the moment. And then you get that list and click on a business owner's profile, and you'll have access to their information. You'll see their branding, you'll see their offerings, a description of, you know, services, products, goods, and services, whatever they're providing to you. Because we are product and service based. So whatever that business is offering, you'll get to read up on that. Their website, their physical address if they have one, their phone number, and links to their social media. We also have an opportunity for consumers to make purchases through the platform as well. But right now, we're more focused on bringing awareness and attention to the business. We want people to know that these Black, Brown, LGBTQ businesses exist and they meet what you're looking for. And then if you want to dig deeper, we are encouraging people to go to these businesses' websites or their brick and mortar. We are highly encouraging that once you have found the business, go there and support and let these business owners know that their efforts are not in vain.
Sure. So for those listening, if you want to join, the community of the Victor app, obviously you can download the app on either one of the app stores that you're on. But LaToya, if someone's listening and they want to maybe donate, they want to be, some type of advertiser, they want to help, share, the mission and help bring more brand awareness, share on social media, whatever, what would you just kind of share with other people, other ways to support AwayZones and other ways to support you? Then download the app, and not just download the app, because app downloads are one thing, but actually like buying from those businesses and supporting those businesses. But what are other ways that people who might be listening can support AwayZones and the Victor app?
Absolutely. So we are actually looking for volunteer cultural ambassadors. And so these are people that will go out into their communities and spread the word about Victor. We are obviously a culturally conscious organization, and we recognize the importance of representation. So whatever your background, if you are a person that's interested in celebrating underrepresented cultures, whether that be your culture or someone else's, we would like you to join our team. If you are a person who just understands what a collaborative community looks like, we want you on our team. So you can always reach out to me at my email, which is ljohnson@awayzones.com. And I'll spell that out. That's LJOHNSON@AWAYZONES.com.
That's perfect. And then we also, are happy to announce that, you were able to launch your Halo community, where your community and your users can get access to microloans from $100 to $1,000. So if there's someone listening to this and they say, oh, I want to back some of those loans, reach out to the Halo team and we will put you in the Victor community so that you can start to back some of those loans and open up your wallet and be someone who is empowering and equipping some of these other individuals to go take on their own mission. But if you're listening to this and you want to join the AwayZones community and the Halo community, go through LaToya, email her, talk to her about what it looks like to be a part of her community and to download the app and be a contributing member of her community. And if she likes you, you can get access to her passion for her community. You can get access to some of those microloans. But yeah, LaToya, this is awesome. I've really appreciated. You have a very eloquent story, and you went right into it, and I was really engaged all the way through. But I appreciate what you're doing, because even though I am white, I can still see how other people are affected. And as I've matured, growing up and traveling to other places, I can see the different privilege of what a skin color might have. And so I appreciate that there are people like you out there who are taking on these initiatives and not quitting, but pushing through and moving forward and doing everything you can to help out other people. But I especially thank you today for jumping on the Halo Hero podcast and sharing your story and launching your own Halo community and being part of our mission as well.
Absolutely. I'm very excited about working with the Halo app because I understand, your mission and one of the things that the Halo app educated me on was this concept of financial deserts. So everyone's familiar with the food desert concept, but what about a financial desert concept where people don't have access to what I'll call proper money practices, proper money or financial literacy, and are overexposed to predatory practices. And so the Halo app and this partnership with Victor is the crux for both of us, right? It's that synergy of collaborative and supportive community. So the peer-to-peer lending model, I think is an excellent resource for community members that are trying to make their way to the next level, whatever that next level might be for them. They now have an opportunity to get to that by working with people who want to be supportive to them. So I'm really excited about this partnership.
We are too, LaToya. We were actually just having a team meeting just a few days ago, and we were talking about you and talking about AwayZones and the Victor app. And so we're really excited. And for all those who are listening, you have two apps that you should have on your iPhone or Android now. You got the Halo app where you can get access to microloans, or you can back other people and support other people, whether it's an emergency fund or they have a mission that they want to take charge in. But now you also have the Victor app that you can download and support these other communities, get access to quality, incredibly culturally diverse services and the different products. So it's exciting. Like I've lived in Indianapolis pretty much all my life, and I'm always excited to learn more about other communities and other entrepreneurs that are building their marketplaces and building their communities. So again, LaToya, thank you so much. For those who are listening, of course, you mentioned you heard about the application, you heard how you can be, you said, a cultural ambassador of the AwayZone.
Yes. Yeah, volunteers for our cultural ambassador outreach. And in simple terms, it's street promotion. Go out to your community, you talk about the app, we'll obviously give you talking points and all information, and advocate for the app and let people know that, those of us that are about to take on leadership roles and positions of authority are serious about turning our communities around and making them stronger, more collaborative, and more equitable. And so having that message put out in the streets for, the Victor app as well as the Halo app just makes you, as the volunteer, someone who's a part of that mission and who's a part of turning around communities. And so that's who we're looking for. I'm sorry, Jeremy. And I was just going to say, if you just want to kind of check us out and get the feel, get the vibe, we are on all social media platforms.
I was just about to
Yep, gotta get the social media plug.
Yep. So like a lot of these snippets, we're gonna share in the whole podcast. We're gonna share with LaToya. So go find AwayZones on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Go share the podcast, share these clips, and of course share about the mission behind the Victor app, and be a part of this, local but also global change. So LaToya, again, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast, and thank you for everyone for listening, and stay tuned for episode 3 of the Halo Hero podcast coming next week.